At this point, our text is pretty plain, or our Cooking 101 course is pretty plain at the moment. So we want to spice it up with some images. Now I'm going to come in and click on Insert, and I'm going to use the Content Library images, or like I mentioned, you can come in and download some of the sample images that I've downloaded, which are from Envato Elements, or you can come into Pexels and you can download that as well. I'm going to download one of these just to show you how to insert the text from here. So keep that in mind. And in fact, when you download something from this website or from other websites, the size is pretty large. And so if I come into my download section, you'll notice right here, it's about 2,637 kilobytes. That's a pretty large file. And the more huge images that you bring into Storyline or to Captivate or whatever tool that you're using, the larger your course is going to be, which means the longer it's going to take to actually load. So if I double click on this, the size of this is pretty large inside of here. So you can come in here and do some editing if you wanted to from here. You can crop it, you can add some filters and so forth. I'm not going to worry about that for now. What I'm going to do is use a website called tinypng.com. This will allow me to compress my images. And so now if I come back into here, and then I just drag and drop that image over, notice that it will take it from 2.7 megabytes and it will start to compress it and it will reduce the file size. So right now it's taking it from 2.7 down to 1.1. That's about a 59% drop there. And we could even do better. In fact, if you can go in and resize your images so it's not so incredibly large, you could take it and make it even smaller. But now I can go ahead and download this. And you can see that it's now downloaded this new image here. A lot better. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. And let's just have that one that's a little bit more reduced there. Now coming into Storyline, let's work with that one to begin with. So I'm going to come in and select Picture. Now Picture is when you're inserting content from a different location that you've downloaded on a website from like Pexels or something like that, and you're going to bring it in. I'm going to go ahead and click on Picture here. And I'm going to go into my download section and I'm going to insert that image. Now, notice the types of files that you can import. You can import EMFs, WMFs, JPEGs, or GIFs. GIFs can have some animation, so you can actually insert an animated GIF and put it inside of here. Keep that in mind if you wanted to have some animation or some movement inside of your course. All right, so I'm going to click Open, and it inserts it right into my page. I want to have this image fill the entire screen. So there's a couple ways that I can do this. It'll be better if I expand out my timeline. And in fact, it'll be better if I zoom out. So I'm going to click on zoom here and then click on 100%. That way I can just see a little bit more of that gray area that's around here. So I'm going to take my image and I'm going to resize it. If I just resize it like this, it will keep proportional inside of Storyline here, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and just resize it so it fills the entire screen. I have a little bit of a problem though. When I animate or when I lay out some text or something like that, I may think that this is still part of the stage, but in reality, if I preview this, it's going to cut off the top part of that image. It's also going to cut off the bottom part of that image. And so it's hard to really design and keep in mind exactly where those cutoffs are going to be if I don't crop this image. So I'm going to close this preview. And I'm going to, with the image selected, this Format tab will pull up and I can click on Format here and then go over to Crop, and you can see these little handlebars will pop up on the side, the top, the bottom, and the corners as well. Now I want to take the top and I want to move that down so I can see where that stage is, and I want to then go in and just move it to the top of the stage and it will kind of snap into place there. I want to do the same thing with the bottom one. Just move it up so I can see the stage and then just move it down to the bottom of that stage and it snaps into place there as well. All right, now if I go ahead and click on crop, I didn't quite get it, so I can click on crop again there and move that down until it snaps into place. There we go. That's looking a lot better. You can always go back in and click on crop again, and that part of your image that you cropped out is still there, and so I can go back in and adjust it if needed. So that's looking a lot better, but I need to readjust my stage so this image actually goes behind my text. Let's come in here and on my timeline, move the image down below. Now we have that text that is now above my image. There's a couple things I still have a problem here with. I'm going to go ahead and just move my timeline down a little bit more, come into my View tab, and then click on Fit to Window. The thing that I have the problem with right now is my Cooking 101 is black text and my image is kind of bright. So there's a couple things that I can do here. I can select my text here, and then I can come in and I can adjust this to be a white text. You can see that makes it stand out a little bit more, and that looks a little bit better. Some other things that I can do, if I click on my image here and go into Format, there's a couple things that I can do. I can recolor my image to have a color in the background. You can see that it has like a nice tint to it. If I wanted to do like a blue color, if I wanted to do like a black color as well, that kind of makes the text pop out a little bit more. So I'm going to go in, and I think I like the red color. I'm just going to set it at that for now. If I come over to the expand button, this is also where I can replace the image if I needed to. I can reset the image back to where it was originally as well. I'm going to go back into here and just change that back to red. I can adjust the contrast if I wanted to adjust the contrast of it. I can also adjust the brightness of it and come in here and kind of set that back and kind of change that. Those are a couple things that you can do, but you can also select if you wanted to add like a border to the image, if you wanted the image to be cropped in a certain frame as well to add a design for a shape. You can come in here and just have that kind of crop there as well. I wouldn't go too crazy with that, but those are some options here. I'm going to click on this expand button, and I'm going to come into my picture section here. There's a couple other things that I can do. Inside of the picture section, we have transparency, which allows me to kind of make this a little bit more transparent. This blend mode right here allows me to change the color of it. In fact, let me go back and just remove the color of this and just kind of reset that back to where it was before. Now I'm going to come in and select this expand button here, go into my picture section, and then in the blend mode, let's go ahead and change this to like a blue color. Now you can see that we have an overlay. We can go in and darken it a little bit as well. And sometimes it just takes kind of playing around with these to really get to know them and see what they can do here. So if I don't like any of that, I can just hit reset picture and it will reset. And in fact, I am liking this recolor a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and choose that for now. So a couple different options that I can stylize my image with. And you can add different borders and other things like that. But I think this is looking good so far. One more thing that I may want to do is going back to my picture is just kind of adjust the transparency to be a little bit darker there. Again, it just takes tweaking it, and we can use some shapes to even get even a little bit more of an effect there. But I think this looks good for now. So let's go ahead and go into our half and half page. We want to have an image on the left-hand side along with our text here. So I'm going to click on Insert. Then I'm going to go in. Let's use a picture from Content 360 here. And let's search for cooking. And so let's go ahead and find one that's a little bit more vertical. And I like this one right here. So let's go ahead and click on Insert. If I have that image, I can go ahead and go into my Align and Arrange here, or Arrange and Align, and just have that kind of off to the left-hand side there. If I wanted to make this a little bit bigger just to take up more space, I can then center that right in the middle. And then like we learned before, just crop that so it's not hanging off the stage there. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more here and then just crop that up as well. Great. I think that looks good. Let's say I wanted to add like a little bit of a drop shadow on the edge here. If I select that image and then come into Picture Effects, I do have the ability to add shadows, reflections, glows, and soft edges as well. I'm going to add a shadow, and then we're going to have that shadow kind of be on the right-hand side. So you can select the direction of where that shadow is going to be. That shadow's a little bit harsh for me. I'm going to go ahead and select this Expand button, and then I'm going to go down to the shadow section. The area that I found that works about the best is about 85% there. Maybe even down to 80% there. And then the blur, let's just take that down. We want it to be very subtle. Actually, let's up it back to 5 so it's a little bit more blurred, and the distance to be about 3. That's looking great, so I'm going to hit close, and you can see that it just kind of adds a little pop from there. Now, I don't have to go to the edges. I just think when you preview this, it looks a little bit better with the edges there. Let's go ahead and preview it. There we go. So it's right to the edge there, and then there's our text. Now with that in place, I do have a little bit more room for my text, so I can go ahead and expand that out, and you can see that looks a little bit better. All right, so we have one more image in our third page, and so I'm going to go ahead and insert another image. You can see it's already kept my cooking title here, and we're going to find an image that looks great for my cooking. This one, we're talking about prepping So let's go ahead and find that, insert, and you can see that it fills the entire screen there. Now, if I click on crop, I only want the area of the food here. So I'm going to go ahead and just crop that to where I think it's going to be. And then I can go ahead and move this to the top side and then just stretch that out to fill the entire area. And I may need to click on crop again, move that up a little bit more if I wanted to. I want to scroll down here and click on crop, and let's move this up so we can see the text. All right, so that looks a lot better, but I want to push the image up a little bit more. So I'm going to click on crop there, and I'm just going to move my image so it's more into place and my item is kind of at the top there. All right, I think that looks a lot better. So we have 3 pages in our Cooking 101. We have our title page, we have our image page, we have our half and half page, and we have our 1/3 page. Now we can do some other things. Instead of just having images, we can have shapes, and those shapes can actually take part of our area and even use some shapes to even add some styling to our text as well. We'll dive into shapes in the next video.